We're all clear, but there'll be more. Echo 7, how's the transmission?
I just bypassed security. Transferring to R10 now.
Echo 2, we've got company. Let's make this quick.
Copy, Echo 9. R10, get ready for transmission. Hey guys, welcome to another episode of the Hoth Transmissions. Today we are going to be going over Bad Batch. Episode, I want to say what, we're on episode 8 now, so titled Bad Territory. Very, very interesting episode, and let's go ahead and jump into our thoughts. Overall, what do you think?
Great to have Fennec Shan back. You know, Ming Na Wen she just adds extra life to that character, no matter how it's done, either live action or animated. So it was great to have her back, but for me, it was a filler episode. It didn't really add much to the story.
Yeah, I think I said that last week, because we had so many episodes that were just go, 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 that I felt like we were going to be getting a slower paced show or episode.
Yeah. You nailed it completely.
Yeah, and I feel like the next episode is going to be that too, because it's going to lead us into another 2-part released discussion. So, because this was released by itself, next week's is released by itself, and then we got a 2-parter there. And I'm not going to go as far to say that this was a filler episode, because they have a little bit left of the season left, and so right now it's kind of I want to say it's building story, and I'm going to guess that this informant that they're trying to get from Fennec, I think that's going to be our Ventress lead.
Yeah. It's a weird episode for me because it adds a lot of story while adding nothing to the story.
Yeah.
I mean, maybe to call it a filler episode is wrong, because normally filler episodes are just there to fill the gap while, before something else major happens. But this had a lot of different things happening. I mean, the whole Crosshair thing was, again, talking about Crosshair like he's a good guy.
Yeah.
That added more to him as well. But I don't know. It just, when I was watching it, it just didn't feel like a full-on episode. It could have been, parts of it could have been included in other episodes that were more action-packed, and it would have, carried on the flow.
Right. They could have easily done this story arc and added it to the Rex and that whole group, because they could have easily left Crosshair and Omega dealing with a situation with them like they did, and maybe keep Echo there as kind of the middleman between Crosshair and Hauser, while Hunter and Wrecker are off doing their own thing.
Yeah.
But I mean, the last 2 episodes, they wouldn't have been doing this search anyways if it wasn't for that whole interaction, because now Rex is kind of implanted on the mind of Hunter. It's okay, you're really trying to protect Omega, but you got to figure out why they're hunting her. And this led to the whole bounty hunter search, and it's okay, well, we've interacted with Fennec before, so let's go see what she's saying. And they find out a little bit more information. I love how cunning she is and manipulative. It's she's not the same version that we have from Mandalorian. This is back in when I would say she's kind of heartless. It was kind of Boba's the one that changed her. And so it's really cool to be able to see that bounty hunter version of her instead of the lighthearted, still pretty cool live action, but a little bit softer.
Yeah. Yeah, it was, I mean, I like Fennec for for the most part. I wasn't a big fan of where they took her character in the Book of Boba Fett, but here, like you say, she's more original Fennec that we would have loved to have seen further on. The bounty hunter side, the side that shoots first and doesn't ask any questions at all.
Yeah, and the one that's like, I'm a bounty hunter. This is what I do, but I'm willing to work with you clones, even though we had a squabble in the past. And it's like, okay, you guys are a little desperate to come to me because of our whole history here, but you guys don't have enough money for whatever you need, so I've got a job that I need help with, and because I'm familiar with your background, we're gonna use you to pay for the information you want. I get to keep the bounty. You just do the job. And I'm not gonna lie, I'm so frustrated with this whole plot outline that they always do. It's not just a Bad Batch thing. It's a big trope in Hollywood where it's like, okay, we're characters. Okay, we are going to somebody, and it's like, okay, how much is their information going to cost? It's either exactly what they have, or they don't have enough, but they have to go and do a job with them. They work for them, and to clear their debt.
Well, we've said this about a previous episode of this season, where
the one with Hunter and Crosshair. Yeah, I mean not Hunter and Crosshair, Omega and Crosshair.
Yeah, where she had just the right amount that they were asking for. It's like, no, come on.
And the extra 5,000.
Yeah, but it is an annoying trope. I will give you that one.
But I do get it. It's kind of just a way to kind of like move the story along. And it'd be like, okay, well, I have the information, but if you help me, then you'll get your information. But I did like at the end how Fennec was like, hey, you either fight me for the information because I don't have it now, or just trust me. And it's like, okay. And I liked that she played the sinister part because you don't hear who she's speaking to. I am betting it is Ventress, and I got some thoughts about that and why I'm confused on it. But you don't hear the person. She just like, oh yeah, I've got information. You want to hunt them down? Okay, cool. They're looking for you, but you can go check them out for yourself. And whether it ends good or bad, we'll see. I'm like, okay, all right, Fennec being a little shady here. I like it.
Yeah, I mean, I can't wait to hear what your thoughts are on that one, because like mine are, if it's Ventress, then happy days, but also, why does it sound like the Bad Batch are hunting her down already? They don't know anything, so it's kind of.
I don't think they're hunting her. They're just trying to get information, and I think that's just Fennec's contact. She's like, okay, I haven't done any of these M count targets myself, but I know somebody that has. So do this job, I'll give you the information. So she contacts the person, and the person wants to go track down the Bad Batch first, instead of Fennec just going, oh yeah, Hunter, by the way, this is my contact. Here's their information, blah, blah, blah. Like, Bad Batch have no clue that this bounty hunter is going to be after them.
Yeah. I mean, it would make sense if it was Ventress, because, Force users can kind of normally, because, big plot hole of the whole Palpatine thing, can normally sense when there's other Force users around.
Mm-hmm.
So it would make sense, if someone's hunting people with a high M count, then Ventress would be the one, and she would also be the one to go to bounty hunters. Whereas the Empire, unless they're really pushed to, I don't think would do that. Because even in Empire, when Vader is talking to the bounty hunters, it's kind of like it comes across as like, yeah, we didn't want to do that, but at the same time, you guys can focus on getting the people that we need.
Yeah, because Vader at that point is like, I'm too busy to deal with this, so let's just give it to bounty hunters to do. And it's very interesting because Ara Singh, I don't know if a lot of people know about her character arc, and it was very confusing for me because before she was brought into Clone Wars, and she was seen in the pod racing scene in the Phantom Menace, her backstory was actually a Jedi who left the Order and became a bounty hunter. So I believe there's an action figure somewhere. I could be wrong, but I at least do remember this backstory until they changed it for Clone Wars. But she'd carry a lightsaber with her and a rifle. And so she was like kind of a Jedi hunter type thing. Because she's like, not with the Jedi, but I'm going to go be a bounty hunter. So I've got these added skills that will make the job easier for me when I do my bounties. And I feel Ventress is kind of taking on that backstory.
Yeah.
Even though we have no idea how she survived.
So I've just done a quick search on Aura Singh, and you are right. She was a Jedi, or she left the Jedi Order to take up being a bounty hunter.
But I don't know if they changed that for Clone Wars, because I know that was her original backstory. I don't know if that's just like Legends or if they're keeping that canon.
It's under the. Is it under the canon section?
Wikipedia.
Yep.
Yeah, I know they have those two tabs, Legends and canon.
No. So it's under the. It is under the canon section. So.
Okay. That's good to know though, because I always liked that backstory. I always thought that was kind of cool. It's like, oh, a Jedi leaving the Jedi Order to become a bounty hunter. And because I want to say, I don't know how powerful she was in the Force. Maybe that's why she was able to leave. It's like, okay, you're not strong enough to be in the Order, so get out of here. Shoot. You only want powerful Jedi here. I mean,
it makes you wonder though, just to sort of sidetrack epically, how many Jedi or how many light side Force users left the Jedi Order? Because
from my understanding, I thought it was just 10. Or because they're called like the Lost 10, and
yeah.
But I'm wondering if that only accounts for Jedi Masters and not actual Jedi.
Yeah, because I mean, I can't see many leaving, but at the same time, you would have thought that the Jedi would have kept tabs on them.
You would think, but that's the funny part because I want to do a quick Google on it, but I'm pretty sure it's the Lost 10. And Dooku was one of the Lost 10, and so was Sifo Dyas. And maybe they used to like pay attention to and follow their career after the Jedi Order after they leave, because I mean, when you're a Jedi Master and you leave the Order, that's kind of a big deal. But it seems like they didn't keep track of Dooku because he became Darth Tyrannus, and just like, okay, whatever. Sith have been extinct for over a millennia, so here we go.
Yeah.
So I would, and then the whole Sifo Dyas thing, it's like, okay, he went off, and I know it was Dooku that imitated him for the clone army, but still, it's like if they can't tell that one of their masters is dead, then how good are they? I mean, we obviously see how this new Jedi Council is because they fail epically.
Yep.
So, I mean, I think it's just arrogance that's kind of blinded them.
Yeah.
But jumping back to Ventress, this is my other like hang up with her character at this point. Anakin knows Ventress very well. She gave him the scar that's on his face, I think. Or no, that was some other thing. But no, I'm pretty sure she gave it to him on Yavin 4.
In the comic books, it was it was Ventress that gave Anakin the scar.
Okay, I wasn't sure if they're going to keep that canon because I know that it happened in the whatchamacallit, the Samurai Jack Clone Wars when they're fighting on Yavin. One of my favorite fights, by the way.
I loved it. I don't think she gave him the scar then, though. I think that was done off screen.
I think it might. Okay, no, you are right. It was done off screen, but I've always tied it to Ventress because they had another encounter that they didn't show.
Yeah.
That way they can indicate that she survived that fight. And so Anakin knows Ventress very, very well at this point. So if she's a bounty hunter that's hired by the Empire, she must be really good at keeping her identity a secret because Vader would be like, I don't care who you are. I don't care if you're helping me out. I don't care anything. You're dead. Because that's just how Vader is.
Yeah. Yeah. It would be. See, I don't think that the Empire knows who Ventress is. If the informant that Fennec's communicating with is Ventress, because it could just be like a third party that was also interested in. See, I don't know, because like you say it out loud and it's like, wait, that's just one big plot hole.
Yeah. Or no, I don't think it would be Boba Fett because they might do a little bit backstory on that. Mando wasn't the first, that Mando wasn't the first time that they met. So I wonder if there's a little backstory between Fennec and Boba, and that's why they're like better off. And I got to watch the Mandalorian scenes or whatever to figure out exactly what their relationship was at that point, if they knew each other before then, or if that's like their first introduction. That was just that one's a wild throw out there.
Yeah, I thought that was their first introduction in Boba Fett. But again,
because I don't want Boba Fett in this Bad Batch.
Yeah, I think that would ruin it because the way it's going at the moment is good, and I know that we've had Ventress teased in the trailer, so that's not a spoiler at all. Plus, by the time this comes out, everybody would have watched it anyway.
Yeah,
but I think to then throw in a character like a young adolescent Boba Fett, because he wouldn't be old. He wouldn't be like the classic Boba. He would be
Omega's age.
Yeah, which we've already had. We've had that in the Clone Wars.
And then, not to mention the random clones that we found at that one base in the previous episodes.
Yeah,
because I think that's the most we're going to get of anything that's close to Boba Fett back in this series. So I'm strongly leaning towards Ventress.
Yes.
And I'm just wondering how they're going to make it work with her being a bounty hunter helping the Empire, if that's even what she's doing. She may just know information about the MCOW targets.
Which would make sense because, she has an M count herself. So,
assuming M stands for midichlorian.
Yes. Yeah. I mean,
which I'm sure it does.
It's
Let's
kind of at the moment it is heavily implied that it is, but at the same time, it does then raise more questions as to, what was Jango Fett's M count?
Yeah,
because there's only the two unaltered clones.
And to say that Omega has the M count, if she's got a high M count, then that's assuming Jango Fett was force sensitive. And which goes back to like the whole video game, because like I don't know if you or anybody that's listening has played the game Bounty Hunter. I'm pretty sure it's on the Xbox store, the PlayStation store. Highly recommend it. It's such a fun game, but you play as Jango. and you do a bunch of different bounties, and then the person you're working with kind of gives you a lead. And then this is how you meet Zamwazell through the game, is by going through this lead by Darth Tyrannus, who you don't know that's who's hired you. You just have this hit for another Jedi that's kind of running this underground, I want to say gang or something. I can't remember exactly, but it was like a underground mob or something. And your goal was to go out and kill her. And every bounty hunter had that order. And Django was the one that was the only one able to accomplish it. And then Dooku comes out of the shadows and goes, "Hey, well done." It's like, okay, you're going to be a perfect clone because you're able to kill a Jedi without having the Force. And so maybe him having the Force is what allowed him to do that. I know it's not canon anymore, but it's still a really good game.
Yeah, see, I never played the game, so I didn't know any of that. So that's an interesting take on it, but it still doesn't answer the questions. And maybe I'm hoping that we will get answers to the whole M count thing soon.
If not, we'll get it in like the last couple episodes. I think everything will tie up by the end of this.
Yeah, so I'm kind of thinking that if we do get Ventress before the sort of last two episodes, then it'll be said then what the M count is, and it'll be a big surprise if we're right or wrong. But
yeah,
I think Fennec communicating with Ventress would be a good one, because
I think it'd be a really good tie, definitely.
Yeah, whether or not it is remains to be seen. You can be hopeful, but also something that's just crossed my mind is, how old is Fennec Shand meant to be? Because like Ming-Na Wen herself, she does not age.
Yeah, because well, okay, so this is Clone Wars era. Oh no, this is right after Order 66. So this is before New Hope.
Yeah.
And so yeah, because if Omega's that age, I'm trying to figure out exactly when, because this would be like middle, because there's like 20 years before the Empire is challenged by Luke. So Fennec has to be young in this, because in Mando she's a little bit older. But
Yeah, because I mean, Ming-Na Wen herself is 60, which she does not look it.
then it doesn't matter. They can make her look however she wants, because the actress is like, nope, this is my genetics, so I can pull off whatever age you want me to.
Yep.
Good for her.
I mean,
I did not know that.
I just had a Google search of it, because Ming-Na Wen, she's done voice. She did the voice of Mulan, and
that's right.
She was in Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D.
That one I knew. Yeah.
Yeah. So, and obviously other things here and there, but she's 60. So in theory, you could kind of run it parallel-ish to say that this Fennec Shand was, say like 25?
Yeah.
Maybe 30, because then that gives us
another like 20, 30 years before Mando.
Yeah. So it you can kind of tie it in that way with an actual, human age to an age of a character. But yeah, I'm just, it's always sort of bothered me when they bring back characters and make them look very similar to how they looked in a much later appearance.
Yeah, but I think with Fennec, I think we can We can settle on that one.
Yeah, no, I'm not going to complain about that at all.
Which is kind of cool what they did with Boba, because like seriously, like with Boba Fett, like we kind of know what he looks like now, so they do a lot of like animations to mimic the different stages, and then transition over to Tamara Morrison. And so when you get to Boba Fett in the book of Boba Fett, it's like, okay, yeah, good job.
Yeah,
like it works.
Yeah, that works for me quite well, because you do get the sort of natural aging progression. Even when it was Django being portrayed, it still it works well, because you do get the evolution of the character when it comes to aging, and obviously with everything that Boba Fett's been through, it does make sense.
I mean, we even have Rex Gregor and Wolf as older clones, so
Yeah.
So even Tamara Morrison, I know a lot of people complain, but it's like, guys, give the guy a break. But it makes sense. He's like, okay. But I mean, Boba Fett's a little bit more active than those clones, but still.
Yeah. See, I had no issues with that. When
Neither did I. I got annoyed with people when they're just like, come on, guys.
Yeah, it's like people get old, and this is also set after the last time that we saw the character. So what really have you got to complain about? It was ridiculous.
It's the whole Luke Skywalker thing. Like, I'm still upset about Luke Skywalker and his transition, like his character turned out. But with Boba Fett, I didn't really have a big issue, just because we don't know too much about him, other than he's a well-known bounty hunter that fell down in the Starlight Pit. So now he's just chilling on Tatooine with the Tusken Raiders for however long he's there. And it's like, as we know, that Tatooine sun does a lot to somebody's skin. Let's look at Obi-Wan. How quickly he aged. I mean, let's just be real here.
Yep. Well, it's twin suns, isn't it? So that's twice as bad.
That is true. Double the hit. Dooku would be proud. Double the pride.
But yeah, I mean, so the whole like Fennec inclusion in this episode, which we kind of knew again from the trailer that she would be back in it.
Mm-hmm.
It felt right at the time, because obviously she can get information that the Bad Batch would want, but at the same time, like I've already said, it felt like it could have been done with another storyline going alongside it.
Yeah.
Yeah,
because the guy they're hunting, very interesting character. It just seemed like very like, okay, this is just a easy target. But I feel like Fennec could have handled it on her own. The only thing she needed to get past was mines. Even though Wrecker did like tackle this guy.
Yeah.
And another fun fact that I didn't see anybody mention on the web, at least on my search for like Easter eggs and stuff, but while I was watching it, the Silas guy that they're hunting, he is being hunted by the Haxian Brood. I don't know if you know that name.
It rings a bell.
Did you play I don't remember. Have you played the Jedi Fallen Order games?
Yes. Yeah.
The Haxian Brooders, the bounty hunter group that captures Cal in the first game.
Oh, that would have bugged me. Thank you for thank you for reminding me.
Of course.
It's been a while since I've played it, but yeah.
Yeah, it's been a while too. But when they mentioned it, they're like, "Oh yeah, this guy, he has done some things, and there's a lot of big names that want him captured, but the Haxian Brood are the one that want him." I was like, Haxian Brood. I'm like, oh, Fallen Order. I'm like, they just did it. They tied that in, which was really cool.
Yeah, see, I love it when it all ties in. It makes
It shows
more
that they
of a-
are paying attention.
Yeah, yeah.
But I did like the little suspense of them like being in the. No, I didn't like it because that's another trope that they always do. Is you had these guys in the mine. It's like okay, they can get through it, but oh no, a bunch of monsters are coming. Now you got to work harder and faster with these explosives. So and it just becomes like this whole suspense between it's like okay, got to finish this before we get overrun by this.
Yeah.
I think they could have done with that. I think that was just for them to add like a little bit more action into the episode.
Yeah, it felt kind of forced though, and I mean even the trying to stun the bounty. It was like
Yeah, no, I wrote down it took 4 stuns to take him down. I'm like, that's crazy.
yeah, and that and it just it felt so forced, and also like how is this guy able to withstand being stunned more than once without falling down? I mean, I know
Yeah,
that
he ain't no Chewbacca.
yeah, I mean, like alien genetics are different to humans in the Star Wars universe, but it's like, come on, sense of realism at least. He says, talking about a sci-fi cartoon.
Absolutely.
But
I mean, it makes sense because like the bigger the character they are, the more hits it should take.
yeah, but this guy was, yeah, he had height, but he was skinny and
Basically a praying mantis.
yeah. And
But yeah, that did bug me too.
it kind of disconnected me a bit about it because it just didn't, I don't know, it just didn't feel like it was the right thing to do. Like, maybe have the character stunned once. Maybe he could recover from that very quickly, but at least see him go down.
Yeah, because other characters that we've seen do that have either been Jedi or like they're like brutes.
Yeah.
Like I could see Wrecker taking a couple hits before it actually affected him. Same thing with maybe like a Jedi. A Jedi would get hit once, and because of their Jedi training, you could probably recover pretty quick.
Yeah.
And then because I mean, it's the same thing like when we see like in movies, like we get like these big, powerful people, and they come in with these like little animal tranquilizer darts, and it's like, okay, this one should be able to take down a 5,000-pound elephant, and then we see the guy get shot with 3 of them, and he's still like struggling, and then one more finally knocks him down.
It's like if they're designed for something big, you need to be that big, no matter what species you are. It's going to work with one, and it kind of makes me think. Then, do their weapons not have different stun settings? Like, if you know this guy's going to escape, turn it up full, or it should work straight away.
Maybe. So that's another way to look at it. It's like, okay, the level of the stun, and then not to mention alien genetics. We don't know how they react. Maybe it's just his alien skin is very armory. I don't know, but because you look at lightsabers have different like power settings. To when they go into training, they turn the lightsabers down, and especially with the training sabers, to where you get hit with it. It may burn you, but it's not going to chop an arm off or something.
Yeah.
And so it might be the same thing with the stun. It's like maybe this character isn't supposed to be brought in dead, so you don't want to stun him too much to where it shocks the system. Kind of like a taser, I guess.
Yeah, but then sort of to counter that one, dude was shot 4 times.
No, I know. I wrote that down because again, I think it was just a thing just to tell you how wily this guy was, because Fennec was like, yeah, every bounty hunter that goes against him never comes back, and he's escaped me once, and even here, he gets the best of her, and then Hunter and Wrecker have to come in and stop him before he gets stunned 4 times. And so I think it's just kind of another thing, just kind of like build a little bit of tension. It's like, okay, he's not going down. He's not going. Okay, all right. It's like throwing a Pokeball, and it kind of just wiggles around a couple times, and you're just kind of waiting to see if it's going to click or not.
That is the weirdest analogy I've ever heard, but I like it. I'm going to go with that one.
Yeah, no, I started talking about it. I was like, oh, I'm already part of it. I might as well just finish it.
Yeah, that's it. It's happening.
Hey, first time you ever heard Pokemon be compared to Star Wars, right?
Yeah, weirdly. No, you did it before. Actually, you said about Articuno.
Oh, that's right. That is right.
Yeah,
that is right. I forgot about that one.
Reference.
Hey, I guess season 3 is going to be the Pokemon analogies.
Love it.
But I mean, this series, this story arc was pretty cool. But I'm not gonna lie, even though I enjoyed what they were doing with these characters to bring Fennec back, and it's like, okay, we get a mission with Fennec. That's a lot of fun. So all right, let's go with it. Let's just see where they do with it. And I know it's kind of a stepping stone to get to the next part, because they're trying to figure out this end count thing so they can get back to Tantus, yes.
Yeah.
And give our conclusion there. And then we had the B-roll arc. And we get a little bit more. I feel like this season's more about Crosshair and Omega than any of the other characters at this point. Because even though they didn't have so many scenes, there's a lot of depth with those characters there.
Yeah, and I actually preferred those scenes than the main story. The B story just worked better for me.
I agree. I find their interactions very interesting.
Yeah, and I mean the whole trying to figure out what's causing the pain in Crosshair's hand. And
his reluctance to talk about it, because the droid was like, well, there's nothing I can do, but if you tell me more about it, maybe I can help you get through. And he was like, nope, we're done. We're not talking about this. And it kind of made me think about, okay, maybe Sam was right. Maybe Crosshair is going to have that little arc again, but at the same time, he just doesn't want to deal with that. It could just be a psychological problem for him rather than a physical error. And it's just easier to confront a physical ailment versus a mental. Nobody wants to say, okay, I'm standing in my own way on this. It's got to be something else.
Yeah. And I mean, the other thing is as well, now that we know more about Crosshair and what he was kind of going through while being locked up, we can tie that in with Hemlock, who also has an issue with his hand.
And I think you're onto something there, because I know we've discussed it before, because you noticed it in the beginning, and
yeah,
I think it's only going to be a continuation.
Yeah, so I still think that Hemlock is potentially not a failed Palpatine clone, but one that wasn't as force sensitive as people would have liked.
Mm-hmm.
But I mean, the whole thing about Crosshair, he is very reluctant to potentially admit that it is a psychological thing. But then, if it is a psychological thing, what the heck were they doing to him?
Yeah, honestly. But again, I find it very interesting that Omega's the only one he'll listen to.
Yeah.
He'll fight everybody else, but Omega will come up, and it's probably because she's believed in him since the very the very beginning. Because even since first season, she's always been connected to Crosshair, and it's always been I believe in you, and Crosshair's like, no, this is who I am, this is where I need to go. And even now, Omega's never given up on him, and so he's kind of like giving into that now. And I just love the whole thing. And she's like, "Oh, I got something we can try, and you're probably not gonna like it." He's like, "Wait, no." She's like, "I've got something you can try." He's like, "I'm probably not gonna like it, am I?" And she's like, "You don't like anything." He's like, true."
And I mean, it goes to show though that we've said it countless times now for this season, and it is more and more apparent that Omega is Crosshair's humanity. It is the yin and yang side of things.
Yeah, because he's even curious. He's like, "Okay, now we're sitting down to do what now? Meditation? No, okay, we'll give it a shot." And you can tell he's like not into it, but he's just doing it just to humor the little girl. And then he starts asking questions like, "Where'd you learn how to do this?" "Oh, well, I met a Jedi Wookiee over on Kashyyyk, so he kind of taught me a little bit about this." Which has me curious. Is this going to be the beginning of Omega's Force sensitivity coming out? Maybe meditation is a thing that's going to unlock that ability.
I mean, the sort of the purist fan in me doesn't want that, because it seems that we just get a lot of new Jedi appear.
I don't think she's going to be that powerful though.
But even still, it's like, I get that Disney would probably be aiming to get younger kids, younger girls interested in Omega being a Jedi. But at the same time, it's like, we don't need every character to, be Force sensitive. Like, we don't.
Yeah, we saw how well Andor worked without it.
Yeah, and it's the one thing that annoyed me about Ahsoka.
Because of Sabine?
Yeah.
Because of Obi-Wan? Because of Sabine?
But yeah, like it was kind of hinted at in Rebels that she had some kind of, potential Force powers, but then for them,
which is funny, I never caught that when I watched Rebels.
It was so subtle, like, massively so. But it was like, really, guys, come on. And now, if we're getting the same sort of thing, it's like, it's going to be the one thing in this season that will make me think, okay, everything that I believed in before that, my whole mind changing on Omega thing, has been
just eat it right out the window.
Yeah.
Yeah, because I like that her character is becoming a very independent and strong character by herself.
Yeah.
And the M count thing, I'm still trying to figure out with her. And they only have a few more episodes to kind of really like do the whole Jedi thing with her, and I don't think that's enough time, so I don't think it's going to happen. I think it's just going to be like alluded to maybe at some point, or they might end the season with it and then another spin-off season from Clone Wars, because this is a Clone Wars spin-off, so we'll get another Clone Wars spin-off. But I'd be fine without it. And I have to agree with you on that. It's like her character becoming a little bit Force sensitive would just kind of ruin the development that they've given her so far.
Yeah.
Because they've done so well without it.
Yeah. And that's the thing, it's like, it's kind of like the Finn storyline in the sequel trilogy, where he was wielding the lightsaber really well, so it was kind of hinted at that he was a Jedi, but that was hinted at, from episode 7.
The very first trailers until Rey became the.
That was a twist I liked. I'm throwing that one out there. Loved that twist, but it was still hinted at, even in non-canon things. Like Lego, the Lego shorts that they've done has Finn as a Jedi in training, which I know it's not canon, but you can kind of say, well, you can see it happening. Whereas this is 2.5 seasons in now of Omega not showing any sort of Force sensitivity or anything, and now she's going to become, it's another one of those movie tropes that they always do. It's like, oh yeah, the lead person's now got these special abilities. It's like, no.
I'm gonna liken it back to that whole Finn thing, because like ultimately that's where J.J. Abrams wanted to bring Finn's character, but it was supposed to be dealt with a little bit more in the episode 8, but Rian Johnson went a completely different way. And then we get Rise of Skywalker. The entire movie, Finn is like, Rey, gotta tell you something. Rey, gotta tell you something. Rey, gotta tell you something. But they never actually do anything with that story until after.
Yeah.
And if anything, that might be what they do with Omega. It's like Omega's like showing small little signs, but it's never going to be addressed in the actual show.
But then I don't want a sort of sequel series to this.
Yeah.
If this is the final season, let it be done. Because again, outside of the Bad Batch characters, the only ones that we see is Rex and his crew. We don't see Hunter or Crosshair or Wrecker ever again. They're not. I know that you can kind of get away with saying, but they're not mentioned. But writing, is one thing, but they're not even retroactively included. Like Rex has been sort of included in the Battle of Endor, just by the fact that there was an old guy with a grey beard, and they've kind of made that one into the character of Rex.
They all go off onto some like random planet and make a life for themselves and happily ever after. Never to be seen again. Or they all die.
I kind of still want them to all die. As bad as it sounds, and I know it is an anime.
We have a Sith Lord here. No, I totally get it. I would love to see a Rogue One ending for this team.
Yeah, because I think 3 seasons. They deserve a decent ending, not just one where they fly off into the sunset to, drink Mai Tais on a beach somewhere. It
kind of like what Mando did at the end of season 3.
Yeah. But it's like they need to have that final one final battle, and it is very rare that I say I want the good guys to lose. But
I mean, because we know what happens with the Empire, and we know how much fighting went on with the rebellion and the Empire. So we know not every battle is won, and especially in this situation where it has to deal with Palpatine and Project Necromancer.
Yeah.
I don't see them coming out of this one winning, because we see that the goal was completed.
Yeah.
And so at what cost are we going to see? And that's one of the things I loved about Kanan, is like Kanan was such a well-built character. And the final season, he got a very great ending to his character. Very meaningful. Probably one of my, I want to say, might even be the best Jedi death that I've seen. just because of the emotional impact that it put. But if not first, it's definitely top 5. And we'll save that for another discussion. But considering where our characters are now and how many episodes we have left, to have them all die in the last episode, they'd have to really bring it to that emotional impact to where you're going to feel it. Like with Tech, gone. And I'm pretty sure he's dead now because they probably would have done something with it now. Or it could just be another Echo thing where they just capture him and stick him to a machine.
I know that we've kind of jokingly said that until we see a body, he's not dead, but I think it's safe to say that he is dead. Like, you know, he got the fitting ending for his character.
Mm-hmm. So my question is, the last episode, if you have the characters like, one by one are dying in the last episode, it kind of takes away from the impact. And I would like to see, like, Hunter getting attacked by the space alligator in this episode. I was like, oh, well, there goes Hunter. Oh, no, Wrecker just saved him. I'm like, that kind of would have sucked if he died by a space alligator, but might as well start picking them off one by one now.
Yeah.
Because we got Wrecker, Hunter, Crosshair, and Omega left. And even if you want to keep Echo in the mix, that's 5 characters you got to kill.
I mean, you know, so I'm just looking at the episode titles again. You've got the Harbinger, yeah, that word. That's the next episode, and
Harbinger. In American.
Yeah, that'll do. Let's go with that one.
Yeah, you got the British, the British pronunciation.
Yes. Now. But that's the next episode, and I think that's going to be the Ventress episode, because this one just led too much into it with Fennec. And you know, when you look at the titles, you can kind of guess as to what it's going to be about. Then you've got Identity Crisis, which I think is going to be the Crosshair activation episode, which leads into Point of No Return, because that could be Crosshair
kills Hunter.
Well,
or Wrecker.
I'm kind of thinking so. Yeah, you know, takes out one of the other Bad Batch, because you know that would make sense to have a title like that. You know, there's no returning from, you've just killed like one of your own.
Yeah,
and it could end with, you know, Crosshair then taking his own life. Just because I'm a fan of apparently seeing that, because I've said it more than once. And then
very dark, different, very dark personality here.
Yeah. Then you've got Juggernaut, which could be anything, but I kind of think that's Wrecker's moment potentially. And then you've got Into the Breach, Flash Strike, and the Cavalry has arrived. So if we're going by titles alone and trying to speculate, I think at least one of the main, at least one of the Bad Batch will die soon. And then maybe the rest will die in the sort of last 2 or 3 episodes.
And that's why I'm also trying to figure out if Ventress is just going to have one episode, or she's going to, or if the next episode she's introduced at the end of it, and then the 2-parter that they have, she's going to be along with them, or something. Yeah, because if I know Filoni, he's not going to give one episode to Ventress. That's one of his creations, essentially.
That could also then be what the Identity Crisis is about. Is more about Ventress as a character, and you know, because she was a Sith wannabe, and now she's kind of lost. So maybe that could be the identity crisis.
Oh, that could be it. Because I know they did that with a Maul in Rebels, to where he's like, I was ripped from my mother's arms, and I was raised as a Sith, and then now I'm not a Sith, and I'm not a Jedi. I mean, I'm just a bad guy.
Yeah.
And so, Asajj, even through Clone Wars, she comes off as a Sith wannabe, but there's always a part of humanity to her, even when she interacts with Boba Fett in Clone Wars. She kind of, if I can remember correctly, I think they did interact. They did a mission, and she kind of just let him take everything.
Yeah.
And so that could be an identity crisis. Like, is she? Oh man, so many questions.
Yeah.
I can't wait to see this character to speculate more on her.
Yeah. Yeah. So
because you raised some good questions.
I do try on occasion. But I mean, so for this episode, it opens the door to more questions, like who was Fennec Shand talking to?
Mm-hmm.
Was it Ventress? Was it a random clone that is out to try and get the Bad Batch? What is the fate of the Bad Batch going to be? It all, like I say, there's a lot that happens in this episode while nothing happens in this episode. It is such a strange one, and
because it acts like a filler, but it's setting stuff up.
Yeah, because even the you could technically class the whole like Omega Crosshair B story as filler, but then that raises more questions within it. So it is such a strange one to try and figure out. But I'm just hoping that they don't do the stereotypical thing of Omega's now a Jedi, because then that just adds more questions, and I'm not here for that.
She's the new Star Killer.
Well,
Vader shows up, grabs her.
I mean, that would be an interesting sort of twist, but at the same time, God no.
I just don't think that there's enough story left of the season to really get into that side. Yeah. Especially since there haven't really been any other Jedi other than Gunji. And all he did was teach her how to meditate. So with no other Jedi, and the only person that's close enough to understand anything like that would be Rex. And Rex don't got time for that. So I don't think, I'm just looking at it, it's like with how much we have left, I don't think they could fit that story arc into the series. It's got to be something that they're going to just mention at the end, and then her fate is stuck with the Empire. Like, she's not strong enough, but she's strong enough to be able to finish whatever project is happening.
Yeah.
So she's either going to die or she's going to be stuck with the Empire. Those are my two things. I would like a dark ending for these characters.
See, I knew I'd win you over with this whole dark ending thing. But no, I mean, like, they deserve the dark ending, because, I mean, having that whole, again, the sort of princess locked in the tower trope with, Omega gets captured by the Empire. Nothing. We then don't see or hear Omega as a character ever again. She's probably, not going to make it out of this season alive.
Because we get to see how dark the Empire is. And we got a little grittiness with that in Andor. And I know this is kind of more of a kid's show, but the Empire are bad people. We need to see that, because I want to see something that makes me hate the Empire, because right now I think all the Empire characters are a lot cooler than the good guys. Just saying.
And, I mean, the Bad Batch as a series, though, isn't specifically aimed at kids. It's more aimed at, you know, people of an older age.
The Clone
i.e.
Wars,
like,
yeah.
Yeah. And so I kind of think they could get away with the darker ending. And I mean, you know, by this point, people are going to sort of assume that no one's getting out alive anyway. And I would be very surprised if they did. But I will say, maybe, so, you know, the whole like Andor meeting his fate with the Death Star thing. You know, there is the prototype Death Star that was at the end of Revenge of the Sith.
Yeah.
So maybe they accidentally used that and blow up a planet that just happened to have the Bad Batch on it.
They're really getting into Rogue One ending.
But I mean that's kind of like the worst case, best case scenario ending. You know, it still has the death of the Bad Batch, but you don't see it, so it's not graphic.
I have some thoughts, but I'll leave that for another podcast to get on the speculation of how they could do that. Because I have some ideas, but it's not completely like flushed out yet.
Interesting.
So, because if they were to kill them all in one thing, it'd have to be pretty much what you just said, an explosion of some type.
I mean, at the end of the day, though, it is Star Wars, and they are known for blowing up planets.
Sadly, that's the only thing that they go with. Like that, another story for another discussion for this. Why I didn't like the sequels.
Oh yeah, that the big laser gun that can fire in multiple directions and take out multiple planets. No.
This isn't the Sun Killer or the Sun Crusher from Legends.
Yeah.
It's like that would have just been cooler, and it's like, okay, yeah, we got to destroy this 100%. It's a ship that can do this now, not a space station. But I would like to see maybe they we're jumping off the Bad Batch now, but I think it'd be a cool story arc to see a Sith come through and have some like ancient Sith technology or power that is more of a threat than a space station.
Yeah.
Like I want to see like a Sith actually come in and be a threat. Like Palpatine definitely was a threat because he was very smart and he was able to accomplish it. That's his story. I don't want every Sith to have that same thing. It's like, okay, then Palpatine just copied every other Sith. It's like, no, show us Palpatine was very smart and very strategic over and done a thing that no other Sith Lord has done. And then we got Snoke coming back or Snoke showing up with the Starkiller base, and then Palpatine come up. It's like, what is better than one laser? Multiple lasers on multiple ships.
Yeah, it was just no.
Yeah, we'll wait to get into the movie discussions later. All right, guys. So that is going to end our episode today. So just remember to come back next week because we will be covering the next episode, which will be titled "The Harbinger." So get ready for that. Yeah, and then before you guys leave, check out in the description below. We got a link for our Instagram and our Discord, so be sure to check those out and join in the conversation. Also, if you want some cool merch, we got links down there as well. If you like Black Series or if you like cool T-shirts, just take a look at what we got available. It's a lot of cool stuff, a lot of great stuff. Yeah, so we will see you guys next week. So may the Force
be with you
always.